I'm going to press record so we can show this up on YouTube. Hey, everybody. Ban restricted announcements for June 30th just went live. I'm just looking at this for the very first time live on Twitch.tv as well. So hey, chat. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, ban restriction, June 30th. Here we go. Standard. Holy nuts. 7 cards. FB5K, thank you for the follow. 7 cards are getting banned in out of standard. Holy cow. So, Cori-Steel Cutter got the axe. Abuelo's Awakening. Okay, I disagree with that one, but I'm glad that deck got hit. Okay, sure. Monstrous Rage, yes. Heartfire Hero. Now, it's interesting they picked Heartfire Hero over the Manifold Mouse. I am not sure I agree with that necessarily, but I'm glad something from that package got hit. That's great. Yeah. So, yeah. Who's you been calling hero? At the end of the day, the mouse package needed to get hit. Something from the mouse package needs to get hit. So they chose Heartfire Hero. I think Heartfire Hero is a very powerful card, so I'm not mad to see it go.
Beans, baby. Woo!
Exactly. So Heartfire Hero getting banned, Monstrous Rage getting banned, Cori-Steel Cutter actually got banned. I never would have dreamed that, but that's fantastic. And then Up the Beanstalk also got banned. Hopeless Nightmare and This Town Ain't Big Enough. Holy cow, they hit every major deck. All of them. And they needed to. This is
I'm trying
amazing.
not to show it on my face, but I'm a little turned on right now.
You know, inner monologue, you're not wrong. Yeah. This was, oh my goodness. Yeah, blue-black, Kaito God's Glory Banger. Well, here's the thing. So, the blue-black Dimir is going to be absolutely playable. You're not wrong. But with Hopeless Nightmare and This Town Ain't Big Enough gone, a lot of that package is going to get busted up. So at the end of the day, we can, okay, bottom line, right? We can nitpick whether or not individual cards were correct in this list, right? We can nitpick Heartfire Hero versus Manifold Mouse versus the Emberheart Challenger. Sure. We can nitpick This Town Ain't Big Enough as compared to Storm Chaser's talent. Okay, sure. But at the end of the day, something in those packages needed to get hit if we are going to get back to a state of discovery. Additionally, we needed to get to an aggressive ban state, or we needed to ban aggressively if they are going to stick to their guns and not ban again in a year. So at the end of the day, I'm very happy to see this. I think a heavy-handed ban strategy was correct. Wizards, thank you. This was perfect. But yeah, so you think a blue-black mid-range is going to be coming back? And probably. Like, you know, Spyglass Siren's not on this list. Kaito's not on this list. So those decks will be playable again. But are they going to be the de facto best thing? I don't think so. I think This Town Ain't Big Enough and Hopeless Nightmare being stripped out of those packages means that those decks aren't going to be quite as strong as they used to be. Yeah. Yeah. This is for a better standard for the rotation. So yeah, let's dive into the article. And then Alchemy, Cori-Steel Cutter suspended, pending a rebalance. Sure. Pioneer Best of 1. Tybalt's Trickery was legal in Pioneer? I just assumed. Interesting. And Counterspell is unbanned in Historic. Okay, cool. All right. So let's read this. Let's get into it. But yeah, Cori and Rage getting banned. Great. Howdy gamers. My name's Carmen Colompirans. I should know how to pronounce that by now. And I'm a senior game designer on Magic's play design team. Welcome to our mid-year banned and restricted announcement for 2025. The previous update to the banned and restricted list focused on changes to Modern and Legacy with massive upheaval in Pauper, but for this announcement, we're shining a spotlight on Standard, because it's messed up right now. Okay, I added that part. Given the quantity of cards being added to the Standard ban list, I'll go ahead and roll out the red carpet for Jadine to talk about the details of what's changing and why. As usual, we'll be on the weekly MTG on twitch.tv/magic tomorrow, July 1st at 10 a.m. PT to discuss these changes and answer any lingering questions. You can submit questions for that stream over on the official Magic the Gathering Discord. Don't forget to schedule for particular formats. Click below. So Standard, written by Jadine Clemparens. Today's announcement is our once-a-year early rotation window for Standard. Our goal with the window is to set the next rotation cycle up to be as fun as possible. We do this by saying an early goodbye to a number of cards that have proven their strength and made the format less fun, either by creating unhealthy play patterns or by restricting the viable deck-building options available in the environment. Below, we'll discuss these bans and our reasoning behind them. Then we'll discuss the lessons learned from these cards for 3-year Standard. We're announcing the banning of 7 cards in Standard today. Ah. 7 is a lot of cards, even for our early rotation window, and especially so since it has been over 2 years since any cards at all were banned in Standard. So how did we get here? Our last ban restricted announcement was roughly 3 months ago, shortly after the release of Aether Drift. At that time, Standard was looking fun and healthy. There were 3 decks clearly at the top of the metagame: red-based aggressive mouse strategies, self-bound synergy decks powered by Nurturing Pixie and often referred to as Pixie decks, and the Domain Overlords ramp deck. But below these top 3, there was a sea of other decks that stood a fighting chance on any given weekend. Okay. The release of Tarkir Dragonstorm in April had a dramatic effect on the Standard metagame, propelling Izzet Prowess to the top of the metagame on the wings of Cori-Steel Cutter. It was the deck to beat at the recent round of Standard Regional Championships and represented over 40% of the Standard metagame at Pro Tour, Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy. Yup, it sure did. And here's one such Izzet Prowess list. Yep. It's clear that the Izzet Prowess deck is having a negative effect on the Standard metagame. Yes. Its play rate numbers are substantially higher than we have seen in Standard in the recent past. Beyond just play numbers, though, the degree to which the deck is warping the rest of the metagame around it is crystal clear. One easy example is Mono Red, which reinvented itself for an Izzet Prowess world by adopting large numbers of main deck copies of Magebane Lizard, an excellent card against Prowess strategies that was seeing very little play prior to that deck's rise to prominence. And Magebane Lizard is a great example of the kind of card that you look at to see, is this format being warped in one way or another? And that's yes. You don't run main deck Magebane if, like, this is a sideboard card, or it should be, unless something is, like, out of balance. Cori-Steel Cutter is the obvious target for the Izzet Prowess deck for banning. Yes, but we didn't believe you'd actually do it. It is quite simply too strong for the format. A card that's a little bit stronger than everything else. In addition to quickly rising to the top of the Standard metagame, Cori-Steel Cutter also had a large impact on Modern, a format considerably more powerful than Standard. It also has the quality of being a challenging card to interact with profitably due to the increased burden of answering artifact cards and the ease with which Cori-Steel Cutter leaves meaningful board presence behind even when quickly destroyed. This combination of sheer strength and resilience has let Cori-Steel Cutter run rampant on Standard. I have nothing to add to this whole paragraph. Just yes. All of that. 100%. Oh my god, yes. At this point, it's clear the tools to challenge Cori-Steel Cutter's dominance don't exist in the environment. For this reason, and in the interest of metagame diversity, Cori-Steel Cutter is banned. For the sake of clarity and setting expectations going forward, the banning of Cori-Steel Cutter is the kind of action we would take in any of our banning windows. The level of dominance of Izzet Prowess in the recent Standard metagame clearly meets our threshold for bans outside this once per year Standard window. God, that's also very encouraging. I love that. The release of Cori-Steel Cutter reshaped the landscape of Standard. It's very challenging to predict what will happen to the metagame after its banning, but we have concerns that the format may drift back to the format as it existed previously. To make sure the next Standard metagame is diverse and has room for exploration, we're banning 6 additional cards. And they're showing the Azorius Omniscience deck here. Second most popular deck at Pro Tour Final Fantasy was the Azorius Omniscience combo deck, with about a 20% share of the metagame. The Omniscience deck has existed as a part of the metagame for a while, but climbed in popularity to be a major player after gaining new cards in Roiling Dragonstorm and Marrying River Regent with the release of Tarkir Dragonstorm. Abuelo's Awakening always had the potential to create a deck like this, as 4 mana is cheaper than we normally allow non-creature reanimation effects to be, but we had hoped that turning what it brings back into a creature would allow ample counterplay. That has not proven to be the case for Omniscience. Combo decks like Azorius Omniscience are something we want to exist in Standard, but when too strong, they warp the format around them and reduce the number of viable decks. This version of Omniscience has proved too powerful and consistent. For these reasons, Abuelo's Awakening is banned. Now, so, Potalogist, I'm noticing you mentioning Squirming Emergence. Squirming Emergence is a 3-drop that can cheat out Omniscience. Still can. Yuna can cheat out Omniscience. Like, all the number of cards that can still cheat out Omniscience here, there's a lot of that. And so I disagree with this one. I don't think Abuelo's Awakening was the correct card to hit. The correct card is clearly Omniscience. Because cheating out things, like, their belief that the Abuelo's Awakening bring back a creature provides ample counterplay is absolutely true, as long as the thing you're reanimating is anything other than Omniscience. If it's anything other than Omniscience, Abuelo's Awakening isn't a problem. So why is Abuelo's Awakening the ban? I think that's just wrong. Just strictly wrong. They can't ban a Foundations card, Jawa? I disagree. I think they should ban a Foundations card. I think banning the Foundations card is the only way to actually address this problem in a meaningful way that'll stick. Because now we will reach a point where, you know, maybe some more, some stronger self-mill cards come in a future set, and all of a sudden Squirming Emergence, the Omniscience, is not that hard anymore. Like, that could happen. So I don't see a scenario where we're safe here. I don't think we are. Yeah. So Permanent Omniscience Abuelo's is what makes Omniscience good. In the current meta, yes. Abuelo's Awakening is teeing up Omniscience. Omniscience is going to be dormant. We are going to be going into remission for the Omniscience threat. We have not found a cure. The cure is to remove Omniscience. Right now, Abuelo's Awakening being out of the format, we're going to be slower. It's going to take a long time. It's gonna take a minute, but at the end of the day, Omniscience will find a way. Like, somehow Omniscience will return. Just watch. Like, there's no way it doesn't. Yeah, so this is one where I don't agree with it. In the short term, this is gonna look great. Abuelo's Awakening is absolutely teeing this up. It's only a matter of time until this kind of deck comes back. It's only a matter of time. So next up. Now, this next one we were all calling for months, and many people were calling for months. I was late on this bandwagon, but I'm here now. Monstrous Rage has been powering red aggressive decks in Standard since its release in Wilds of Eldraine. Oh my goodness, Mamba with the 5 gift subs, you're a freaking legend. Thank you so much. Monstrous Rage has been powering red aggressive decks in Standard since its release in Wilds of Eldraine. It is one of the strongest and most efficient combat tricks to have ever been printed. Period. Yes, agreed. Turns out Giant Growth shouldn't give permatrample. Just saying. We've enjoyed having a combat trick to be a strong standard card. Sure, but it's clear that Monstrous Rage has overstayed its welcome. Also, all correct. Yes. It has enabled combo-style aggro decks more than we would like, and has played a large role in lowering the fundamental turn in Standard and putting players under too much pressure too quickly. In addition, the fact that it grants trample has decreased the utility of blocking in the format and greatly eroded the efficacy and of defensive creatures as a counter strategy to aggressive decks. You know, that thing Kibler said a quarter ago. Yes, that. For these reasons, and in the interest of eliminating the least fun aggressive play patterns in Standard, Monstrous Rage is banned. Hell yes, let's go. Perfect. You love to see it. All right, Heartfire Hero, which, by the way, okay, I kind of love hating on Heartfire Hero. This card is insanely powerful. It was also previewed by my friend Brouhaha Gaming, so I get a kick out of the fact, like, every now and then when I'm on calls with them, I'm just like, by the way, your damn mouse has, like, got me again. I find it funny. I don't even think they, like, really care about it, but it makes me happy. But yeah. So Heartfire Hero has been another key piece of the red aggressive deck strengths throughout the year, the last year Standard. The curve of Heartfire Hero into Manifold Mouse puts the opponent under pressure immediately and forces decks to have ample interaction for the early turns. Additionally, Heartfire Hero's dies triggers gives the red deck significant resilience to many kinds of removal. Its strength has shifted the format towards decks that can interact starting on turn 1 or 2, or decks that can leverage temporary lockdown as powerful counterplay. We want red aggressive strategies to be a viable option in Standard, but Heartfire Hero has proven to have too much explosive power combined with too much resiliency. As such, Heartfire Hero is hitting the bricks. Good riddance. I'm glad something from the mouse package got hit, is really the bottom line. I thought Manifold Mouse would have been the better hit, but at the end of the day, Heartfire Hero leaving is fine. I'm not mad at that. I should update the stream title. You're right. Fucking beans, baby. Woo! Yes. All right. So, we discussed banning only Heartfire Hero or Monstrous Rage, but ultimately decided that banning both was the correct course of action. The two cards are both independently strong, and leaving either alone would make it likely that aggressive decks in the format would still be combo-style aggro decks with consistent explosive starts.
I'm that Supreme Court lady, and you fucking did it!
Exactly. And a lot of burst damage potential. By banning both, we shift the aggressive strategies of the format from combo-style aggro, decrease the interactional burden on the non-aggressive decks in the format and thus increase the number of viable cards and decks. So I can stop running 4 Torch the Towers in every deck I have. That's great. I love that. All right, next up the Beanstalk is no stranger to the ban list, having been banned in Modern since 2023. At this point, Up the Beanstalk has been clearly cemented as a best-in-class source of card advantage for slower decks. Yes, fucking beans, baby, woo! Exactly me from the past. It shares Cori-Steel Cutter's quality of being challenging to interact with profitably, as its controller will always be up a full card in the exchange. This means decks powered by Up the Beanstalk are hard for many types of strategies to adapt to, which effectively eliminates them from the metagame when Up the Beanstalk decks are prevalent. The deck building puzzle of Up the Beanstalk has also been solved so many times at this point that we expect it to be more monotonous than engaging, as more cost reduction cards may get released in future sets. We've even felt some of these pains while developing cards and mechanics that have yet to be realized. For this reason, Up the Beanstalk is banned. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my God, yes. All right. Yeah. Damn you, Cram from the future. Exactly. All right. Also, I'm not as on top of chat as I'd normally like to be. Thank you all for understanding, because I definitely want to get through this. And characters, oh yeah, boom baby, we're dabbing. The self-bounce decks have shifted a lot as the format has progressed, with just a small powerful core constant between iterations. Hopeless Nightmare is a key piece of that core, serving the role of a 1-mana trinket that is powerful to cast many times in a game. The pattern of constant discard it forces on the opponent...
I'm trying not to show it on my face, but I'm a little turned on right now.
...is among the least fun elements of the deck and shrinks the game in a way that makes it hard to come back from once the self-bounce deck gets going. In addition, Hopeless Nightmare provides the self-bounce decks with both interaction and damage, allowing the deck to position itself as a disruptive, aggressive deck. In the interest of removing the least fun elements of the self-bounce decks, Hopeless Nightmare is banned. That, honestly, Hopeless Nightmare being cut, I could not agree with that ban harder. If the goal is to prevent the Esper Pixie deck from just taking over, that's the card that needed to get hit. I could not be in more agreement with that. I love it. I think Hopeless Nightmare leaving is perfect, because Hopeless Nightmare is... early interaction. It creates the card advantage that deck needs by denying cards from the opponent, and it's straight up the finisher in many cases. Like, the Pixie itself attacking for 2 and the Hopeless Nightmare pings are how they add up to 20. Like, that's how they get there. So, Hopeless Nightmare being gone means that Esper Pixie's not coming back. Like, I genuinely think, like, Stormchaser's Talent is still here. That card is still great, although it's got a lot worse here with this next paragraph we're going to talk about, which I'm cool with. I think that's great. But yeah, I think Hopeless Nightmare leaving is going to make a huge impact on that deck. Huge. Yeah. But yeah. So This Town Ain't Big Enough has seen play in many different standard decks. It almost always sees play alongside Stormchaser's Talent, a 2-card package that has proven itself in a variety of shells. Most recently, this package played a role in the Izzet Prowess deck, but before that, it was a key player in variations of the self-bounce synergy decks that incorporated blue. When commonplace, This Town Ain't Big Enough makes the format less fun through its unique ability to interact with any permanent-based strategy while still advancing its wielder's game plan. While not a huge share of its overall power, the loop with Stormchaser's Talent is particularly frustrating and adds the threat of an endgame lockout to many matchups, making games less fun. For these reasons, This Town Ain't Big Enough is banned. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at This Town Ain't Big Enough leaving. Now, I do think This Town Ain't Big Enough was only one piece of it. Stormchaser's Talent is also, like, uniquely strong. But without this town, Stormchaser's is going to have to be played the way it was designed instead of the way that we've been abusing it. So I think that's fine. Yeah, so having seen, you would have banned the Talent. I'm kind of inclined to agree. I think Stormchaser's Talent is the stronger of the two, because Stormchaser's Talent also does combine with the various Pixie strategies, but losing This Town Ain't Big Enough does knock Stormchasers down a significant peg or two. Like, it is much weaker without this town. So again, we're doing the Manifold Mouse, the Manifold Mouse Heartfire Hero discussion again. At the end of the day, I would have picked the other one, but I'm glad to see this go, because This Town Ain't Big Enough is incredibly strong. Like, it has cost reduction on it if you want to target 2 of your own things, as though, you're targeting your own things because you want to bounce them. Like, it's an upside, in a world where something like Run Away Together is trying to be viable, This Town Ain't Big Enough just is so much better. So anyway, this town, I'm not mad to see this town go. I'm okay with it. And characters, they ban the uncommons, not the rares. That is a factor. Yep. Yeah, they did ban Hero, not Manifold. Yep. You can just bounce it forever. Yeah. Yeah, the combo needs to be broken up. Yep. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, the Storm Chaser's talent, This Town Ain't Big Enough combo, is incredibly powerful. It creates the way that they describe it here is perfect. It's dead on. At the end of the day, these 2 cards together create the potential for a late game lockout. That Kefka deck that I've built, it's not a Kefka deck. It's a Storm Chaser's talent deck. And it has Kefka as the top end. This encourages me to actually build an actual Kefka deck now that doesn't just run this combo as the closer. And I think that's really cool. Which is perfect, by the way. That's exactly what we need. All of these value combos that they're hitting here have been the default packages that you need to include in whatever deck you're building. This is the most brewer-friendly ban announcement I have ever seen. I love this. I think this is absolutely amazing. Yeah, Brynhildr Kefka, sick AF. Yes. And, now all of a sudden, I can see value in building that. That sounds really cool. Cori-Steel just dropped at least $10 on TCG. Probably stabbing, yeah. It's still a very strong commander card, but it's, you don't need 4 in standard, and now the market's going to be flooded with all those ones that people bought for standard. Yeah, none of which affects Gilgamesh. Foos, you get it. This guy gets it. All right. So, yeah. Yeah, Get Out can still bounce the talent, too. Exactly. So, Mama, yes, you can still build a Storm Chaser's talent self-bounce deck. It is possible. Now, the thing about Get Out, though, is that you're not going to be able to disrupt your opponent's plans as easily as you can with This Town Ain't Big Enough. And that's cool. The bans are not active on Arena yet. I believe they'll go into effect tomorrow with the release. We're with the update in the morning. Yeah, and Jeskai caretakers can still use Storm Chaser. Exactly. And so, well, now all of a sudden, so in the past with Storm Chaser, you would often use level 2 to grab this town and then use this town to reset your Storm Chasers, right? Now all of a sudden, level 3 on Storm Chaser's talent looks a lot more appealing in the late game, whereas in the past you would never use that. So I'm interested. I'm interested in that. I think that's kind of cool. So I like that this town being gone does change the dynamic. Storm Chasers is still a crazy pushed card, but you got to work for it a little harder now, and I'm cool with that. I think that's neat. Yeah. All right, moving on. It's been a little over 2 years since we announced the shift to 3-year standard. With every set we release, we learn more about how to adapt our design heuristics to this new model for standard. This set of bans is emblematic of 2 key learnings we'll be carrying forward into the future. First, with the large card pool of 3-year standard, we need to be more precise with our 1-mana cards and our cards that synergize with 1-mana cards. 3 of the cards banned today cost 1 mana, and Cori-Steel Cutter asks to be played alongside the cheapest cards available. The potential for 1-mana cards to define a format grows as the card pool increases, and we've learned that going to 3-year standard is a larger step in that direction than we had first believed. Standard is more fun when the stars of games often cost more than 1 or even 2 mana, and we will be taking steps to ensure that is true more often going forward. Thank you. That is the paragraph that I needed to see. Yeah, and Donatello, so duh. Yes. You know that? You know that? I know that. I needed to hear that Wizards knows this. I needed to hear that they understand it, and they do. So, if that is the intent moving forward, and if they're going to be more cautious about 1-mana cards and strong 2-mana cards into standard sets, that gives me a ton of hope. An obscene amount of hope. Oh, thank God. All right. Second, we need to scrutinize and be careful with the rate of cards that are challenging to interact with favorably. With the increased power level of decks in the larger format, that is 3-year standard, decks are very capable of turning a small advantage into a snowball that ends the game. Strong cards that leave resources behind when dealt with, like Cori-Steel Cutter and Up the Beanstalk, reliably create that first small advantage. Identifying these cards and evaluating their strength in the context of their interactional requirements is a task that play design is incorporating into our process going forward. Yes, yes, thank you. Oh my god, yes, thank you. One last announcement for Standard today. Considering our next Standard rotation won't be until early 2027, we will be having 2 of our early rotation Standard banning windows before the next Standard rotation. You can expect one of these windows in about 18 months, right before the rotation as usual. The other one will be in roughly 9 months around the midway point, but we haven't decided on an exact date yet, and it could move around by a month or 2. We will clearly indicate which announcements will specifically take a deeper look at Standard. Bottom line, okay, that's exciting. So here on the stream, I have been saying this morning that the current ban window doesn't seem like... The way that I put it earlier that I stand by is bans are an emergency release valve. You cannot plan for when you need to pull an emergency release valve. So I think the ban windows, we should always kind of take those with a grain of salt. Plans change. Yeah, bottom line, plans will change. And that's okay, you know? And for the record, I don't mind that these plans change. I'm okay with that. But planning on more than just the one, cool, I'll take that. But yeah, so at the end of the day, so there were other changes. Most notably like Counterspell getting unbanned in Historic. If you play Historic, rock on, that's a thing. Yeah, and in Alchemy, Cori-Steel is gone. I can't believe Tibble's Trickery was legal in Pioneer. That's nuts to me, but okay. But yeah, so here we go. I love this. Yeah, Cutter price halved, of course it did. Or says we'll go release the Standard by then. Wooker, that's, I mean, 8? 9? Something like that. They left in Screaming Nemesis on that the list. So, well, Helenin, that's actually really interesting that you bring that up. So, Screaming Nemesis is a great example of a card that, and you know what? Here, this will look silly for a second. We were talking about that earlier. So, Screaming Nemesis is a great example of a card that is incredibly powerful. But what is it doing? What is Screaming Nemesis doing? It is a 3-drop. It's a 3-mana card. They were just saying that 1 and 2, like 1-drops impacting and defining the format was the issue. This isn't that. You know, so yeah, Screaming Nemesis is incredibly powerful, but I want to get to a point where like this is the best option Red has. I think that's great. Yeah, so I'm on board with this. Yeah, we just have to forget Abuelo. Yeah. Yeah, they like Soul Sister style decks. Well, that's part of it. Yeah. But honestly, I feel like this ban announcement, Cori-Steel Cutter leaving, Monstrous Rage leaving, Heartfire Hero leaving. The red decks just got kicked in the teeth really, really hard. But honestly, they have been top of the roost for a long time, and they have warped the entire format around them. So, good. Like, that's exactly what needed to happen. Might as well now go wide. I'm okay with that.
Beans, baby. Woo!
If a Boros mouse deck going wide, leveraging like Boros Charm and the frickin' like what is it, the Sunflower Swordman? Like if those cards are all of a sudden, is Sunflower the one I'm thinking of? Is that the word? No. You know the one I'm talking about, the little 1-drop white card with Offspring. Anyway, it's gonna bug me. So. Mice? No, mouse. Whoop. I English major. Flowerfoot Swordmaster. If this card is viable, if this kind of a card becomes viable in the mouse package, then the mouse deck is working as intended, and that's great. Like, I am all for that. All for it. I think, like, if that kind of a thing is viable, cool. Like, let's go. It's a completely different deck than the current mouse deck, which is fine. Like, the current mouse deck is punching you for, what, 8 on... Or no, like... I mean, yeah, the current mouse deck is a turn 3 double strike mess. And if this is the best 1-drop that they have access to, like, this being targeted by a Manifold Mouse is nowhere near as bad as the Heartfire Hero being targeted by Manifold Mouse. You know? We also... The other one that I think is notable... So, Heartfire Hero getting the ban is fantastic, right? Love this. I genuinely, I am glad to see this go because this card, they mention its ability to like self-fling. Also, Scryfall already updated. Shout outs to Scryfall. Freaking love these guys. So Heartfire Hero being able to fling itself is amazing, right? The Cacophony Scamp is still around, but this is going to be rotating in a month, right? So the self-fling package is going to just all be leaving. It's all going to disappear. And so all of a sudden, those like crazy turn 3, like, you know, and Scamp is significantly worse than Heartfire Hero. Yes, I completely agree with that. But this is the kind of thing that allows non-games to happen. Like the best of one, drop in, pop your face, call it. These cards allow that to be a thing, right? And with Heartfire Hero leaving, with Scamp soon rotating, by the sound of it, based on that announcement that we just read, I doubt we're gonna see self-flinging 1-drops moving forward, and that's really cool. I love that. So yeah, the new best fastest deck in Standard, not including the fling, Donatello. I don't know. You know what the best new deck is in Standard? I'm not sure. I'm interested in trying to ladder with Merfolk starting tomorrow. I want to try that because nothing from that deck got hit, and that deck was already putting up a fight. But fastest Vivi, and I mean Tifa and Mono Green might actually be worth considering. Maybe. So the other one that I think is absolutely fantastic, another card that is just bonkers good, is Lumbering Worldwagon. And this card cannot currently exist because the format is too fast. With these bans and with the rotation coming up, maybe it slows down enough that like a mono green aggressive deck featuring Lumbering Worldwagon and the Agnesar discard combat trick, all of a sudden, maybe that doesn't suck. I'm excited. And so blue-black midrange. So people are talking about blue-black midrange. I've seen some scuttlebutt in the chats about that, and you're not wrong, frankly. Blue-black is going to be real good. So Kaido, Bane of Nightmares. Did I not spell that correctly? Oh, Kadio. That's not his name. Kaido, Bane of Nightmares. This card's still here. This card is bug nuts insane. It is really, 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 really good. No denying it. And it'd be silly. It'd be silly to try to deny it. Also, Spyglass Siren didn't get touched. And there are a number of good 1-drop aggressive creatures that could also tee this up. This deck will be a thing, 100%. Now, in the past, those decks were also using the Storm Chaser. Like, variants of these decks have used the Storm Chaser This Town package. That just got kicked in the teeth. Hopeless Nightmare, also removed. And so, I believe there's probably a version of this deck that is running high interaction with Enduring Curiosity and a Go Wide package. That will probably exist. Yes. Is it going to be the best thing? Maybe. We'll see. But I have a feeling that it's not going to be as consistent as it used to be. And the kind of decks... The other thing about these kinds of tempo decks, right, is your deck needs to be riddled with effective interaction. And right now, effective interaction is easy. You put in Spell Pierce to hit the Cori-Steel Cutter. You bring in Duress in the main board. You bring in Cut Down. Like, Cut Down, Duress... Spell Pierce are great examples of super duper narrow effects, but they cost 1 mana and are therefore playable in the current environment. Once these bans go into place, the effectiveness of all of those cards in your main deck gets much worse. And so all of a sudden, your interaction package needs to change. And so I'm not sure. I think this deck will be very good. It will be a contender, and that's great. You know, Flood Pits Drowner, Spyglass Siren, all that stuff is still here. But what interaction package do you bring? What is the meta, when the meta shakes out, what's it going to look like? I don't know. And so, you know, the Dimir decks are going to have to pivot and adjust in a pretty significant way. There will be a good Dimir package at the end of it. I don't doubt it. But what is that going to look like? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Golgari Demons, the Mono Black Demons, Birds, yeah, all of these are going to be viable, I think. And that's great. Yeah, and you think an Abzan and Yuna becomes tier 1. Jub, possibly. Although... There's so Abzan Yuna. So Yuna is awesome, right? Yuna Hope of Spira, this card is bug nuts insane. And I think this deck will become very, very viable and very, very strong. I think right now, a lot of people are underestimating how big a hit up the Beanstalk is going to be to this deck. Because you're going to have to find card advantage without it. And Up the Beanstalk is a huge part of these enchantment-based, like, domain-style decks, and it always has been. And so that leaving, all of a sudden, you're going to have to get creative with that. Now, Yuna from the PT doesn't play Beanstalk. That's true. You're not wrong. It doesn't, so maybe that deck has a chance to step up. Cornucopia becomes a decent option. You're not wrong. I don't know if that's for sure part of the deal, but maybe. Yeah, Naya with Josh to shore up the card advantage a little bit. That could be it. Yeah, that might be the angle. And I'm cool with that. Anti-casual vestige? DQ, no, I'm not. And yeah. Yeah, how many cards got banned, Peg Jim? Oh my god. Welcome to the party. 7. Yep. 7 cards got banned in standard. And, yep. We played Dredger's Insight over Beanstalk already. And Dredger's Insight is great. The other one is Insidious Roots. I think this card's phenomenal. Like, 100% bug nuts insane. Phenomenal. And, it's going to have a chance to shine in a pretty cool way. Also, this showcase is just pretty. So, yeah. But, yeah. So here we go. Those are the bans. I'm gonna go ahead and end the YouTube recording right now. So YouTube, thanks for hanging out. Please like, subscribe. If you want to encourage this behavior, please leave a comment. I normally don't. I stream 5 days a week. I often don't record this kind of thing because I try to make bespoke YouTube content, and as a result, I don't make enough of it. So if you enjoy this, please let me know. So I'll continue doing these kinds of things. All right, appreciate you. Later, YouTube.